All right, guys. Saturday weekly review. Let's have a look. Let's start with the usual corporate. Dixie, right? Dixie, Dixie's done quite a bit of a falling. I mean, if this is the let's start from the weekly chart, and so if you say that's level drop, another level drop, another level drop, we got divergence. We're going up. We inside the KC channel. I think. This is looking good for continuation, at least to this box. So the box of interest is still valid. Um, Let me see 4 hours and see what's going on 4 hours. So 4 hours, we've got, um, yeah, I think we continue to go up. We continue to go up, and then now look at 12 hours. Yeah, we've got a stopping candle there. So I think yeah, Dixie will continue to go up next week into the box, and that's what we'll be expecting. When it gets here, it depends on what happens. If we get strong confirmation, then it will continue. But the weekly looks promising in terms of coming up here and then doing a kind of a slice back again into here, something like similar to here where you go up and then you come back again before you go up. So that's something that I'll be looking out for on Dixie. Let's look at the Nasdaq. So the Nasdaq on the weekly chart is it's also looking positive. I mean, if you kind of look at the candle we formed here, it's a rejection candle. We fell all the way back to 19.6, which was, I guess, where I was expecting things to happen. It's also gone into our area of interest box as well. So I think for me next week this thing goes up. So it goes up, and I will probably put the area of interest box somewhere there as an area to target for. Let's quickly look at it on a daily chart. So we're above the 200 EMA, which is positive. So we closed above it. MACD is a little bit weak, but there's no divergences yet. So, I mean, there is a divergence here. Here to there, there is a divergence. So we could come down a bit on the daily chart, on the 4 hour chart. If we have a look, so we've been diverging all the way through here. So I think based on that 4 hour, it looks more like we will come down first before we go up. I think yes. So we come back into this wick here, and I will move this to about here, and yeah, move it to about there. So I think between here and here, somewhere between here and here, probably is where we will come to. And it depends on whether we get a hold here or not. If we get a hold, we'll continue going up. So but the higher time frame is looking good. So it's looking good from a higher time frame, although I'd like to see a lower high. We still have, so I got a trend line here. And this trend line has done its job. We've broken above it. So if we break this trend line, then we come back down. So that's what we need to be watching that closely. But it's looking good. Then on the weekly chart, there's no divergences. I mean, there is a divergence here and here. I think, yes, there is. We have a divergence between here and here, but it's a minor type of divergence. So it could pull back and go up, but I think a bit- a small pullback, a small pullback, and then it continues going up. So that's what I would expect. Then before I do that, actually, let me see if we are on 12 hours. Okay, we are outside the case. So yeah, it will come down. I think this is gonna come down because we below the KC channel. We've got some pink candles here. So I think yeah, I think coming down to here is very likely, very, very, very likely. And if we don't hold, then like I'm saying, we have got the gap down here, which potentially can be closed. So let me put another line here. So we've got a gap all the way down here, which has to be closed. So um, this is kind of like your area of interest box for me on the Nasdaq for next week. Let's look at gold. Gold is so gold on the weekly chart. So weekly chart, we still got green candle, red volume, and we've got a red MACD. But this is like this continue going down for me because this is a stopping candle. We kind of tested the wick and we've kind of been rejected and we're coming down. If I go to the daily chart, we can see the initial drop, the initial dead cat bounce. We're coming down, and this is like a divergence which is deceiving everybody that we're going to go back up again, and then they continue to dump it to the two somewhere around here, which will be around the 3170 mark. If you look at 12 hours, we're already doing that. So as you can see, this was a fake out. It's gone up, and now we continue our journey to the downside. So I'd expect more downside. I think the target of 170, here the pink candle is here to be exceeded. And there's another one here. So for me, I think it comes all the way down to this point here, this here, somewhere in this zone, which is around 3010, this kind of zone, I think it will be hit. So somewhere here, I'll put it here. This zone 3015 between here and here will be hit, but it's not going to happen next week. I think next week probably we could see something around the daily chart, so something around here, which would be like 3157 or 3170 before. And then there will be a slight bounce up before we continue going down. So that's good there. Let's move on to the VIX. Let's see what the VIX is going to do. The VIX on the weekly chart. So let's look at weekly chart. We close red, and I expect more downside. I think we'll get a reaction on the VIX somewhere here. Yeah, we might see some reaction here when the VIX gets to this point. The daily chart, you can see we're still coming down. MACD is turning. MACD is beginning to turn. So, which is telling us that soon the VIX there will be some volatility in the market, but not yet. I mean, I think it will come down all the way to the 200 EMA first, even to the 800. It's possible, the 800 line before. So I think next week will be fine. 12 hours. There's more downside. There's definitely more downside. So I think maybe next week will be a little bit calm. Next week will be calm based on the weekly chart. I think we'll come back down to about here. And we get here, then you should start expecting some volatility in the market. It will bounce back a little bit. So that's the volatility index. Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance. So currently today, Saturday, week is not closed, but we're getting a red candle, red volume, which is good. I think when we close this week, we will probably can expect a little bit of a bounce back up. I won't be surprised if Bitcoin dominance starts to go back up again, and retest the KC channel, which is sitting around like, I think it's 64. So if I just move this to 64 somewhere here, 64, need to move up a bit. So it can come here, or it can come all the way up to here, or even up to here. So Bitcoin dominance might gain some strength before it continues its leg to the downside. So it's similar to how this happened here. You can see here, close the week, and then you have kind of a bounce before the actual fall happens. So I'd expect something very similar. It doesn't always happen the same, but it's possible we could just continue going down. But you just have to be mindful of I call it the reverse back, or the switchback on these sort of moves. So, but it is looking good. I mean, I think Bitcoin dominance is topped out for a while, because the moment you close these candles inside the KC channel, it's not good. You come all the way towards the other side. So at the very least, I would expect this to come to somewhere here. If I just move this, I'd expect dominance to fall to about 60. Let's call it 60. Let's change this to 60. The coordinate will be about 60. So to be about 60 on that one is what I would expect us to see around the 60 mark. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to total three to see what's happening on total three. So total three weekly chart, most likely we're going to close triple green, which means next week I'm going to go higher. We might pull back to somewhere here. We might pull back to somewhere here, about 684 billion or 85 billion, and continue going up. So there's more upside on this chart. So which is good. So small pullback, continue the journey. Um, and then we go to CME, the CME traders, see what their chart closed. So they've closed quite strongly here. And I think we're going to go higher and exceed the top on Bitcoin. No two ways about that. Um, I think into next week, they probably will price will pull down a little bit. I don't expect anything, major. I think we will probably see price come back down to about 100K, maybe worst case scenario, somewhere there will be what I would expect. Worst case scenario, we come here and we continue going up and then do a new all-time high, or we do a new all-time high. I think 124 is on the cards for me, 124,000. Um, and then if we go to the IBIT chart, which is also important in terms of money flow, you can see their chart is looking very bullish. If I bring it to the daily chart, you can see we are well outside the KC channel. So I'd expect this to continue going up. Maybe we come back on their chart. I think we could come back and close this gap around here, or even somewhere here before we continue going up. But we'll go up higher. This is really looking good. And then let's move on to Bitcoin itself. So, so if you look at Bitcoin on the weekly chart, I think we're going to close this week really strong, triple green, which means next week we might have a small pullback. Small pullback, like I said, on the CME chart up to about 100,000. So I'll move this line to about here, to about there, and then we continue going up. So nothing, I mean, the daily chart is looking promising. We're outside the KC channel. So we could come back and test the KC channel line. I don't want to see us close on the daily chart below the KC channel, because otherwise it means the pullback will be longer and we may come all the way down to 99.2. But if we close somewhere here, it will be really good. 101, 100,000. Close back outside the KC channel, I think is what's going to happen, and we'll go up higher on that one. So that's that one. That's Bitcoin. That's what I'm seeing. There's a small weakness on lower time frame, which means we might come down a little bit, but nothing serious. I mean, there's a pink candle here to be exceeded around 95,000. So if it gets really crazy, then there's a potential that we come down all the way here to 95,000, but we'll still go up some more. There's more upside on this. This is not topped out. And even on the 4-hour chart, we've only just done a level one here. This whole move is level one. This is level two. So there's a third level left, which will be I guess, the longest and the strongest. I mean, if we count from the base, then we would say this is base one, this is base two, and base three. But base three has to be longer than, base one from here to here. And if we make this bigger, we can see from here, if you do a measurement of the move to this point, this is almost 15%. And then if you do from here to there, it's 11%. So there's more to come on Bitcoin. Excuse me. Right. Okay. So that's Bitcoin. And I want to touch on a few altcoins quickly. So Tier BTC is looking really good. If I go on the weekly chart, you can see that it's looking quite strong. This is weekly candle. I don't think we'll reverse all this candle. And also when you exceed these pink candles, you should expect us to go up above the peak. So we've got a lot of action to go to the upside. So looking good. I don't expect this to be erased this weekend. I expect this to maybe pull back a little bit and continue going up some more. So TBTC looking good. And then if we look at the TIA coin itself, is also looking good. So if we look at this weekly chart, it's good. We will close above the 9, which is positive, which means next week we will be attacking this area. I think we probably next week we probably go all the way. We can go all the way up to here, 510, 512, between 512 and 550. I think it's achievable next week on tier. After a minor pullback on this to maybe about the $3 mark, 305, so somewhere there. So tier looking good. If we raise this candle, I mean, if the key here for tier is that we should not close. We don't want to close below here. So if I just move this candle here, we don't want to close below 286. That's it. If we close above here, continuation to the upside. Close below here, more likely you come back down to test this wick first before you continue going up. So that's the acid test on that one. And then let's move on to, I want to look at say, so say is also looking good. So this is a really bullish candle we formed here. I expect more upside, but there might be a small pullback, maybe back up to about, I would say to where the long entry is. So which is about 0.22, let's call it 0.23. 0.23 before you continue going up. And I think the target is somewhere there, 33, 34, 35 is where I would expect us to get to into next week. And then let's quickly look at this coin. It's a short. I think this is a short for me. As you can see, weekly charts looking, we've got a big candle, and normally you can expect a bit of a a move to the downside. So I'd expect this to come back into this body, maybe 50% of it. And if you take the short, make sure your stop loss is at this point here, just above here. I'll say 50. Stop loss should be at 50. If it goes above 50, you don't want to be in it anymore. The daily is looking good. You can see the hesitation that we've got at the tops of these candles here, right? That tells you you had a big candle, another big candle, and then you have hesitation, volume is dropping. That tells you it's time for, and it can come all the way down to 24. All the way down to 24. You don't want it to go below 24 because ideally, if it goes below 24, then it will go lower. So you want it to stop somewhere here about, I would say here, where the TP is, and then also somewhere here, 25, 25. You don't want it to go lower than that. You can see the RSI is definitely overstretched, on a daily chart. It went as high as what? I think 86, 87, which is very high. So this one is going to fall some more. So it's a good short. And then I want to quickly bring this one up, which is FARTCOIN. So FARTCOIN is looking good for a short at the moment. So if you look at this, I think the target is down here. That should be your target around 9394. 9394 will be my target. If you take a shot from here, it's done a good move on the daily chart, as you can see. So we've been having some weakness since here. So we're going up there. This is a peak, and then we're going up here. We're going up here, and this is kind of your final kill zone to kind of I think we're going to go some high, and I think we'll come back to kind of somewhere here before we continue going up. It's not finished, so I think even if it's to inside this wick can be tested, anywhere here is fine. Anywhere here is still okay. So if it comes all the way here, it's fine. We'll go higher. So FATCoin looking good for a short. And then if you take the short, make sure your stop loss is at the top here, which is around 1412. I would say 1419 or 142, somewhere there will be okay for a stop loss. If it goes above that, you don't want to be in the trade. So that's all I've got for this Saturday, and we'll have another call and a briefing on Sunday.